Are you determined that this is going to be your year financially, but you don't know what to do if it starts to fizzle off in a few weeks? If so, this episode is for you. Yes, you are here. Bienvenida to the Her Dinero Matters podcast, a mixed language podcast hosted by me, Jen Hemphill, to help you become the reign of your money and love your dinero more. If you are needing some inspiration and encouragement at this very moment, you have come to the right place. Gracias por compartir este tiempo conmigo. Now let's jump in to today's dose of money confidence. It is a new year, and we are feeling the excitement of having a fresh slate to start on. Is this you too? There is probably so much you want to do about your financial situation, and you are feeling determined more than ever that this is your year. This is Jen Hemphill, your host, and thank you so much for being here. Most people get started strong in January, and somewhere in mid January, maybe end of January, things fizzle out. How do you keep the momentum going? That's the question of the day. To answer that, you have to keep things easy so you can be consistent, and you can do that with a simple checklist. In this episode, I'm going to share with you my simple financial checklist that really only has 5 action items. That's right, just 5 action items for you to cross off month after month so you can keep the momentum going with your finances this year all year long. Sounds good, right? So let's get to it. Before I share with you my checklist, let's call things for what they are. These past years since 2020 are not like we imagined pre-COVID era. Our families and friends have been impacted. We have lost family, friends, coworkers. We unfortunately live in politically divisive times. Sometimes it feels like we are going backwards versus forwards with things happening in this country. Inflation is higher, and that's never fun. Times are just not necessarily easy, and some of us may have family members that are relying on us more financially. And how do we make that work? It's difficult. That's why I want to call things for what they are. Life is not easy, but that doesn't mean that we need to feel down about it. There are 2 things we need to remember. When we live in these crazy times, when things happen that we don't want to happen, when life just hit us with a brick, these 2 things that we need to remember is that we need to focus on what we can control, and we need to give ourselves some grace. We don't need to beat ourselves up on what didn't happen last year. Instead, embrace what you did accomplish. You know, I'm a big fan of keeping track of those wins. So always remember, focus on what you can control and give yourself some grace and embrace what you did accomplish versus beating yourself up for what didn't happen last year. There are so many things you can put on your to-do list when it comes to your finances, but that can be overwhelming. Instead, I have simplified things for you with one checklist that you can refer to every single month with only 5 items on this checklist. That is it. 5 items, no more. No matter what your goal is, these 5 items will help you stay the course and, of course, stay consistent, which is very important, as I mentioned earlier. So here's your checklist, and I'm going to go in detail after I share with you the whole checklist. Item number 1 on your checklist is paying yourself first. Then it's staying on track by reviewing your accounts. And the 3rd item on the list, on the checklist, is checking if your financial goal is challenging enough, or seeing if it's not challenging enough, if you can stretch yourself some and challenge yourself. Item list number 4 on your checklist is learn one new thing for your personal finances. And item 5 is staying winning by tracking your money wins and financial confidence. So let's get into these 5 items. So first item, paying yourself first. What does this even mean? I know, sounds simple. You just pay yourself first, but a lot of us don't do that. What this means is before you pay your bills, I know it sounds weird, but yes, before you pay your bills or anything else, put money in savings, in your investments, in your retirement. And the easiest way to do this is by setting up an automated transfer. Of course, if you are disciplined, I did have a podcast guest years ago. I'd have to dig up the episode, but she was a big fan of not automating the transfers, but manually transferring the money. because for her, it made it more intentional, and it was something that she was just working on at that time. So if you are disciplined and you make sure you don't forget, that could be an avenue for you. Here are some things though. It doesn't matter when you're paying yourself first. It's not about how much. It's really more about consistency. If you are feeling some resistance or you're feeling afraid because maybe you won't have enough to meet the need if you pay yourself first, I'm going to tell you what this really is. This really means that you just need more clarity with your finances. You need to know don't have the clarity around that dollar amount that you have or don't have. So you have to do some revision of your accounts. You may have to do some retweaking in your budget and your monthly planning. If you're doing that, which hopefully you are since you're listening to this podcast, and that's all it is. Because without clarity, of course, you're going to have resistance because you don't have clarity. You don't know what's going on with your finances. But once you have that clarity, it's going to make it easier for you. And you're going to be more confident about paying yourself first. And so, yes, paying yourself first is before you pay the bills. If you have a plan for your money and you have it in your budget item on paying yourself first, it should be fine, especially if you've done the pre-planning, right? So that's action item number 1 on your checklist. Have you been working towards paying off your credit cards but now are feeling stuck with the raised interest rates? It's not fun being caught in the middle. I have heard your frustration loud and clear, which is why I created this class just for you. You're going to learn exactly what you need to do, the key strategies to take, plus the one mistake you need to avoid. And I've also created a workbook just for you, all of this for just $67, which you can get and learn more about at jenhemphill.com/credit card debt. Plus, for being a listener, be sure to use the code Her Dinero Matters for $10 off. Learn more at jenhemphill.com/credit card debt. I'll see you in class. The second one is staying on track by reviewing your accounts. And I know reviewing those accounts is scary for many people. Just seeing those numbers. People don't want to see those numbers. They don't want to see what they don't have, right? Because that's what you think. I don't want to see how little I have. But you have to remember they're just numbers. It's going to get easier as you look at them. And the more you are looking at them and the more that you see what it is, it's easier to plan because you know exactly what you have versus kind of guessing. And this is about clarity and this is about knowing what you have. And again, the more you do this, the more you get comfortable at looking at your numbers instead of shying away from them. It also helps you stay on track because you are more aware of your numbers. You're aware of what's going in, you're aware of what's coming out, you're aware of exactly what came out versus what maybe it was more than what you put on your budget or what you expected to spend. And it also, for a bonus, it keeps your account safe because you're making sure that all the transactions that are coming out are legit and that there are no fraudulent transactions that have happened. So that's a bonus. You're just making sure everything that is happening in your account should be happening and you'll be able to catch that quicker, especially if you do this on a weekly basis. The third item on your checklist is checking on your financial goal and how challenging it is. And you always want to check in on what you're doing, especially with your goals. Has it become too easy? Can you stretch yourself some and challenge yourself? We really don't want to stay in a comfort zone. So for example, what do I mean by this? Maybe your goal was to consistently be saving $200 every month and you set this automated transfer and it's going without a hitch. Everything's good and life goes on. So that might not be challenging enough. What if you increase that to $250? What does that look like with your finances, right? You want to just get out of your comfort zone, no matter how scary it is, because the more you would get out of the comfort zone, that's where we grow. There's a quote that I like by a person by the name Shannon Elder that says, life always begins with one step outside of your comfort zone. And I think that's true. So again, life always begins with one step outside of your comfort zone. So that's the third item on your checklist. The fourth item is to learn one new thing for your personal finances. Pick something that makes sense for you, your current goal, or a future goal. And it doesn't have to take a lot of time. I'm not talking about go go to the community college and take a class, unless that's something that you do want to do. It can be listening to a podcast. Hello, you're listening to this, so this counts for this month. You can mark this off. It could be a chapter in a book. It can be an online class. Our Financially Strong Circle membership is also an option. Really, the whole thing is you want to have fun with it. The fifth item on your checklist is just you want to stay winning by tracking your money wins and your financial confidence. If you're new here, money wins are pretty much anything indirectly or directly related to your finances. So it could be from saving money consistently, paying off debt, maybe, or an indirect one is a money conversation with a spouse that went off without a hitch, that it was just easy to do versus getting into an argument. Right? So that is a money win. You want to pick a notebook, put a sheet on the fridge. You want to note it on your calendar, whatever works for you. There's no one specific way to do it. Way to do it is the way that works for you and that you can be consistent with. So always track that. That's going to help you really stay in the loop, not just stay in the loop of what's going on with your finances, but really give you a sense of accomplishment and really celebrating your accomplishments, celebrating you and the progress that you're making. So that's the part of tracking your financial wins. The other part is you want to be checking in with your financial confidence, because listen, life can happen which impacts your financial confidence. So on a scale of 1 to 10, you want to check in. If you're feeling 1, not confident at all, 2, all the way to 10, being ultra confident. So where do you fall in that scale? And you always want to check that, because when you check in on that and when you gauge that, you want to see that will help you see where you're at. Because if you're rating yourself a 3, then you're like, okay, I'm not financially confident. Why is this? And how can I change it? Right? So those are 2 things that you want to make sure you mark off. I know it's 2 things. I should have probably made this a checklist of 6. Okay, but we kept it at 5. So you want to make sure that you do this every single month, because with the wins will help you just give you a boost when life hits. And then checking in on your financial confidence is going to help you, as I've referenced earlier, it'll help you to link up why you're making the decisions you're making, or why you're feeling the way that you're feeling about your money. And we can't ignore it, because when you know how you rate your financial confidence, that can help you decide what you need to do next for your finances. So that is the checklist of the 5 things that you can do month after month that will keep you moving throughout the year. So therefore, at mid-January, you're not going to be fizzling out of what you set out to do this year. Using this checklist with these 5 things will help you keep moving, will help you keep the momentum going. Now, our members of Financially Strong Circle get this checklist as a PDF. And of course, if you're not a member, you can just write these things down. But our members get those type of perks. Out of those 5 things on the checklist, which was your favorite one? Let us know by going over to our community on Facebook at jenhemphill.com/community. That is jenhemphill.com/community, and share with us which was your favorite. And share with us if you're going to start using this checklist. In our membership, our Financially Strong Circle membership, every single month they get whether a checklist or an audio or something that keeps them going. So I really hope that you implement this checklist, because it's going to help you stay consistent during the year. And as I mentioned, not fizzle out mid-January, which a lot of people are going to do. And if you implement this, that's not going to be you. So next week, we will meet with Catherine Tuggle. She is the co-founder of Her Money and the co-author, along with Jean Chatsky, of How to Money. So we're going to talk to her about the book, because January is actually a great time to be reading more financial books, speaking about learning something new for your personal finances. So don't miss that. So that is everything for today. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to tune into the show. You can check out our show notes at jenhemphill.com/334. That is jenhemphill.com/334. Remember that being the reina of your money starts now, simply by claiming it. I believe in you, and so should you. Nos hablaremos el próximo jueves. Ciao.